Coalition, NADECO. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on Politics Now. To the first question, let's talk about Akeredolu's legacy. He was the mind behind Amotekun that brought about the reduction of insecurity in the Southwest, and also his legacy, some people are saying, is tainted by his hold on to power, given the alleged allegations that Akeredolu's family took advantage of his health crisis. What are your thoughts on this?
Unfortunately, I'm not really interested in running any commentary on those personalized matters, even though they tinge on public interest. But it's not in a place for people like me to be running commentaries on those personal intricacies.
Sir, it is okay if you don't want to answer the question, but let's move on. As Governor Aiyedatiwa saddles the affairs of Ondo State, what should he bear in mind and focus on? He was in a meeting with President Tinubu on Thursday, and talks regarding the 2024 election in the state was part of the conversation. So what should he focus on?
Delivery of services that will uplift our people who are generally in intolerable economic misery and poverty should be the priority of anybody who is in government, either at the state or at the central level of government. That should be his priority. And for the subnational government, they have no other business than to raise the quality and standard of the living of our people. That should be his priority if he were to be reckoned with. Fortune have brought him into this level. If he were to be grateful to God, then he should take all necessary measures to package socio-economic economic and political policies that will uplift the standard and the quality of the life of our people. This abject poverty and misery in the midst of plenty is unfortunate, is intolerable, is unacceptable. And it doesn't take much, other than for those of them in governance not to see the public resources as booty that they can use the way they like, as it has been our lot.
Sir Ayo, quickly to Rivers politics, a federal high court in Abuja on Thursday extended the December 15th interim order stopping the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from taking any action step against the 26 Rivers House of Assembly members who defected to the All Progressive Congress, APC. What do you make of this conundrum of what should be the fate of the lawmakers who defected from APC to PDP in the state?
Again, you would like to draw me to inanities, and I'm not prepared for that.
All right, sir, let's move on. Let's talk about national security under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Just barely few days after armed groups launched attacks between Saturday evening and Tuesday morning on Boko's local government area in Plateau State, a community of Budel in Tango district of the same local government came under attack on Thursday night. Walk us through your thoughts on the lingering insecurity challenges in our nation.
Well, the Nigerian government is not ready for over 35 years now to be true to itself and carry out its first and major responsibility. The responsibility of any government, its first priority is the preservation of life and property of its citizens. A situation where stranger elements are coming to ravage communities, mostly from all indications and evidence available to take over their land, subjugate them. That remains unacceptable. And the first casualty is the fact that there is a failure of intelligence. And why should you have failure of intelligence for almost over 35 years now, in spite of all the huge money that the Nigerian state spent on security? Each time things like this happen, you find out that all fanciful promises will be made, which are always messing after death. The reason why Nigeria is most unlikely to get it right is the fact that we are asking our conventional army to go and fight asymmetric war. Using conventional army to fight asymmetric war can never result in success for the conventional army, because the asymmetric war personnel will do what they want to do and then just disappear into the civil populace. So there's no standing army with the conventional army is going to face. They don't have a barrack where they could be attacked. You probably will not notice them. So the truth of the matter is that the Nigerian state has failed to have an appropriate, productive security architecture that can deal with this matter. And for all intents and purposes, they will continue to repeat the usual medicine after death lamentation. It doesn't make sense.
Sir Ayo, so what should President Bola Ahmed do to resolve the issue of insecurity in our nation?
I hope that he knows that this is, if he should accept that the current security apparatus cannot guarantee any security. That's the first thing. Then there are elements who have done some serious work on configuring an acceptable, appropriate security architecture that can take care of what we now have. Those are the people that our president should consult with. The current one has failed, and it will continue to fail. There's no way by which you can ask a carpenter to go and drive an armored car and make a success of it. Neither can you ask a tailor to go and be your mason. They are poles apart.
Now let's move on to the issue of politics regarding elections. We look at the presidential elections, the general elections, including gubernatorial elections, and then the off-season elections. Having witnessed all of these elections, would you say that our democracy has advanced?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to comment on it because I, for one, believe that you are putting the cart before the horse. A return to a federal constitutional governance is a priority. And as the convener of the coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reform, I can restate that the major recommendations of Justice Mohammed Uwais electoral reform panel has been neglected and ignored. So the Nigerian state is not ready yet to conduct a free, fair, and credible election. We are still beating about the bush. Sometimes fortune, God, will intervene in some matters, like the case of the last election. One could say without any outer doubt that it will be difficult for anybody to beat his chest that he was the real cause for which President Tinubu became got elected, because the party he used his resources and connection and everything to package together rejected him. Follow Ahmed Lawan, the then Senate president. The president, President Bola Tinubu, did everything within him, resource-wise, connection-wise, and the likes, to put in office, rejected him. Majority of those who should be on his side were opposed to his candidature for one reason or the other. He was the most abused, the most disgraced, the most tormented, yet, because he was destined by God to be president of the country, he's in office today. I just believe that the chance and the opportunity given to him by God will be utilized to make life better for the ordinary man. And it is now, it ought to have happened over 40 years ago. And I just said during the 20th edition of my own Christmas Carol at Ofa, that for the first time, we have a president who has commendable and appreciable expertise, knowledge, and understanding of economy and finance in office, unlike his predecessors. I hope that he will put all this into action to quickly bring about a reversal of the misfortune of the Nigerian people. This level of economic misery and poverty is intolerable. It cannot be tolerated for any long time. And appealing to our people all the time in the last 25, 30 years to continue to tighten their belts. Good days will come. I don't know for how many years that will come. I believe that he is in a position to right the wrong, and that ought to have been done yesterday. But like I said, that is bread and butter politics, for which we needed not prompt President Bola Tinubu to do. He knows it. It's not the type of leader who does not feel the pain of the people. My worry is that the Nigerian current national structure is warped, is lopsided, is skewed, and such a structure is most unlikely to allow him to do and effect a quick turnaround of the economic misfortune that have been set down by mostly the military juggernauts who had governed the Nigerian country and their surrogates. after them. So what it does with the preparation, the urgent need to restore Nigeria to a federal constitutional governance, as recommended in Article 7, page 13, page 17, page 25, page 39 of the APC manifesto, which they presented to the public, upon which Nigerian people gave them their votes. And because nothing was done during Buhari's time, and the public outcry forced them to set up the air refile panel, which equally recommended devolution of power to the states, inclusive of fiscal federalism, state being able to merge if they wanted, state police and the likes. We are not asking him to do more than that than what his party covenanted with our people to do. If he gets that one done, that will be the lasting legacy for which Nigeria will never forget him.
Sir Ayo, given some of these recommendations, that you said has been put in place before this time, is President Tinubu aware of some of these measures that you just mentioned? And in these 7 months, he's been president. Is he making moves, to toe the path of true federalism?
Unfortunately, I don't know his mind. But the idea, the fact as to whether or not he's aware, he was part of us who were together in the trenches, and he knew what we wanted. A restoration to democracy and federal constitutional governance was a priority. And then the annulment of Bashir M.K. Abiola's victory, that was annulled unreasonably, violently, humiliatingly, and contemptuously by the military juggernaut led by Babangida and Abacha and the likes.
Sir Ayo, there is no way we will talk about the elections in 2023 that we would not talk about the judiciary system in Nigeria. Is it truly the last hope of the common man, given the plethora of court appeals and court judgments?
For me, and having regard to our position as the convener of the Coalition of Democrats for Electoral Reform, CODA, we have insisted on the fact that the judiciary should not be putting our leaders into office. Elections should be so conducted transparently to the extent that we have very little number of cases that will go to court. You are putting undue burden on the judiciary. You are intimidating and blackmailing the judiciary to bend backward to your side in order for you to have the key to the store or the riches of the state or of the center. The situation is totally wrong. It's pretentious of what is called democracy. We should stop. We should go back to Justice who made the Electoral Reform Panel recommendation and carry out those key recommendations, which included the fact that the electoral management body should not be appointed by the sitting executive. It is just like a case of saying Plateau United against Enugu Rangers, and you ask Enugu Rangers to appoint the referee. You know the answer from day one. The recommendation of Justice Mohammed Uwais panel is to be preferred. it guarantees that there will indeed be an electoral management body that is independent, because that body recommended that in the composition, apart from those who apply that they wanted that they would like to be federal electoral commissioners, it included the nominees of Nigerian Labour Congress, Nigerian Bar Association, women, and professionals in that way, so as to guarantee fair play, independence, not condescending to the person in office. That have been rejected from Yar'Adua up to today. You cannot blame Bola Tinubu for it, but he's in a position to right it wrong now. Secondly, that committee recommended that there should be the establishment of electoral offences commission that will be self-prosecuting, does not need the fiat of the Attorney General of either the state or that of the federal to prosecute. So all those who have always done evil things, violence to our electoral system, if they have been punished, we couldn't have gotten to the stage where we are today. But the situation today is that even when the police is ready to punish or to charge people like that to court, the Attorney General who had been appointed by the one who had been declared as so-called elected has the power to go and enter a nulli prosequi, and that's the end of the matter. Thirdly, CODA recommended that nobody should assume office until all judicial intervention in his election has been sorted out. A situation where a man whose election to be contested is already sworn into office, he has access. He has access to the state resources, therefore, to fight the battle against the man who's challenging him. So you see, for people like us, well, we believe that we are not ready yet to conduct a free, fair, and credible election. That's why the Nigerian state we are a kind of country of opposites. We export what we don't have, democracy and good credible election. We go ahead and preside over the election conducted in other African countries. We don't have that yet here. And we import what we have. We have petroleum. Yet, leaders in the last 30-something years have constructed the policy of our domestic oil consumption on importation to our detriment. And they are forcing the Nigerian people even to pay for demurrage, for their own gross inefficiency, perversion, corruption at the worst level. You see, since President Bola Tinubu, because President Buhari did not budget for any additional money to pay for what do they call his name? Subsidy. Now, the so-called amount of fuel consumption in Nigeria are reduced to almost 50 something or 60% to tell you that the figure they've been presenting are the false, corrupted in every manner. Some people have been benefiting and are still benefiting. Why yet the generality of the people who really own the resources are in abysmal, abject poverty? It's unfortunate.
Sir Ayo, you talked about subsidy removal, and I was coming to that question. Do you think that it is still in place as some skeptics are making it to be?
I don't. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies.
So, Aya, what are your thoughts on the impact of this subsidy removal? Like you said, it is needful, and a lot of economists, even the World Bank, would agree that it is needful. But in the way President Tinubu went about removing fuel subsidy, given how it has impacted Nigerians, what are your thoughts on, if there was a better way that it should have been, implemented?
Well, I think I've spoken to you from at the commencement of this interview. President Bola Tinubu, no matter what you want to say, should really be accorded that rightful place. Is the first person in Nigerian presidency who has expertise, who has knowledge, who has practiced in the field of economy and finance, is in a better position to take certain critical steps that may not be palatable at the beginning, but perhaps might be rewarding later on. Let me give you just one example. As when he was the governor of Lagos State, and he went to money markets, to the stock exchange, to take money in order for him to execute some critical infrastructure. His opponents and people who are ignorant about finances, many of them, some in good conscience, they accused him of selling the entire Lagos Commonwealth, selling them off at the stock market. But because he took those money at that time at particular rates, which could not increase, and because he knew the amount of money that was coming into his government coffer, and the internally generated, they knew that they would be able to pay for those things on monthly basis. He took those money and he was able to execute those critical infrastructure, which if they were left and waited until he got those revenues either from the foundation account or from the salary revenue, the cost could have been higher and perhaps he could not be able to do them. Now, some of those things that he did as at that time have been the cornerstone copied by most other states in the country, including the central government. That's just one example. So, I'm not the finance man, I'm not economics. So, I believe that the chances are that probably so some of those things, those measures is taken are for the benefit of the people. I just hope so.
Finally, Sayo, before we let you go, your thoughts on coups in Africa. We saw coups in Niger, Gabon, and threats of coups in some other parts of Africa, most especially in West Africa. What does it say about the state of democracy and politics in general in Africa?
Some of our people among the viewers, those who read the book by Rodney about how Europe depopulated and popularized Africa, what is happening today will not be strange to them. For example, Great Britain, that tiny island, at the time was controlling almost 1/4 of the entire human race. It was perhaps the worst, the most violent colonial lord in the whole hemisphere. They used the superiority of their gun power to subject, oppress, kill, eliminate natives from their land, carted away the resources of the African country to build Europe and North America. The same thing in the case of France. Perhaps worse in some respect, because they forced the African country they colonized not to have independent economic interplay. The economy was packaged into the French economy. So much that France all the time was capable of imposing its will on them while cutting away the mineral resources of these different states to build France. The events in Niger, in some other African countries, if you trace them, you find out that it is some measure of late awareness on the part of some young elements who are in the military now, realizing the wickedness, the oppression, the dehumanization that have been the lot of their countries by these foreign colonial masters, that is leading them to take up the gauntlets. As to whether or not the military coup is the way to go about it, it can be subjected to the various discussion and interpretation by different people, depending on the side you are. Will they allow civil democracy, civilians, civil society to campaign vigorously without being undermined, killed, detained, humiliated, and oppressed that they have done in several parts of the country? Remembering what they did to Patrick Lumumba in Congo, remembering what they did to the first general secretary of the African National Congress in South Africa, remembering so many people. Look at what they did to Sankara. So there are quite a number of issues involved in that. And these colonial masters, they ought not to sit in judgment over our people any longer. They have done too much havoc. They have totally undermined our growth, subjected us to bystanders, while they wickedly and violently enrich their own countries without Commonwealth. So if people are reacting now, I have no objection.
Sao Padokun Ayo, former secretary of defunct National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, thank you so much for your time on Politics Now. And I'm afraid this is the much that we can take on the show. Thank you so much for watching and Merry New Year, rather Happy New Year to you, our dear beloved viewers. And thanks for watching the last edition of Politics Now in the year 2023. I'm so excited about 2024, and I pray that Nigeria continues to experience new levels of prosperity and that the current leadership under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will prosper and hopefully do the right thing, just as Sir Ayo said on the show today. Once again, my name is Morno Balagogo. Thank you for watching.